Welcome to Red Recaps. A young boy from a poor family and 4 other children win a tour of a chocolate factory run by an imaginative chocolatier. Which of these 5 children will be the proud owner of the world's largest chocolate factory? Stick to the end to find out what really happens in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now let's get started. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory story begins with a young boy named Charlie Bucket watching delivery trucks leave a chocolate factory in his town. Charlie comes from a poor family. He lives with his father, mother, 2 grandmothers, and 2 grandfathers, as well as 6 other people. His house, which is located on the outskirts of town, appears to be on the verge of collapsing. Because their room was so small, the 4 grandparents had to sleep in the same bed, facing each other. Charlie's father only made a pittance working in a toothpaste factory. One night, Charlie's father brought some broken toothpaste caps to Charlie. Charlie's grandfather, Grandpa Joe, heard this and said he had seen Willy Wonka a few years ago while working at the chocolate factory. Grandpa Joe then went on to tell how Wonka used to sell chocolate on the side of the road. In response to high demand from customers all over the world, he built a magnificent chocolate factory. An Indian prince then invited Wonka to build a chocolate palace in his country. Due to the hot weather, the beautiful chocolate palace in India eventually melted. The Indian prince then asked Wonka to return to India and build the next chocolate palace. Wonka, on the other hand, was having a problem at the time. His success had made his rivals jealous. They sent a spy to steal his secret chocolate recipe. Many other chocolate variants based on Wonka's chocolate recipe soon followed. As a result, Wonka fired all of his employees and permanently closed his chocolate factory. However, according to Charlie, the Wonka chocolate factory has reopened. Grandpa Joe then notices smoke billowing from Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. However, he was perplexed as to why he and his chocolate factory colleagues had not been called back to work. He also has no idea who works in the chocolate factory, and Wonka is never seen leaving. Grandpa Joe hoped to return to the factory because he thought it was extraordinary. One night, several people were seen riding bicycles out of the Wonka factory and posting announcement flyers on city power poles. The next day, many people read the announcement written on the flyer. Willy Wonka had announced that he would invite 5 children to his factory and promised a special gift to one of them. 5 gold tickets were hidden in Wonka chocolates and distributed to countries around the world. As a result, a ton of people from all over the world descended on the shop since the announcement, hoping to get their hands on the golden ticket. By purchasing Wonka's chocolate, Charlie hoped to obtain the golden ticket, but he was aware that his chances of winning the golden ticket were slim, because he would only receive 1 Wonka chocolate bar on his birthday. However, Charlie was lucky because his birthday was coming up soon. A TV show informs Charlie's family that a fat boy named Augustus from Germany has discovered a golden ticket. He is a greedy kid who likes chocolate. Veruca, a British girl, discovered the second ticket as well. She is the spoiled child of a wealthy family. Her father owned a peanut factory and instructed his employees to stop peeling peanut shells so that they could open hundreds of thousands of boxes of Wonka chocolates to obtain the golden ticket. Charlie's parents entered the house while he was watching TV and presented him with a Wonka chocolate bar as a birthday present. Everyone in the family was impatient, so Charlie was asked to open the chocolate. Unfortunately, when he opened the chocolate, he did not find the golden ticket. Despite his disappointment, Charlie smiled and shared chocolate with his entire family. The next day, as he's walking, Charlie reads in a newspaper that the 3rd golden ticket has been discovered. He dashes home and asks his father to join him in watching a TV show. Violet, a person from Atlanta with blonde hair, discovered the 3rd golden ticket. She is a multiple award-winning Taekwondo child athlete. In addition, she is the world's oldest gum chewer. Mike, a Colorado teen, also discovered the 4th golden ticket. He is a brilliant but conceited young man who enjoys video games. He uses his intellect to determine which store held the golden ticket. He was correct in his prediction because he discovered the golden ticket by purchasing only 1 chocolate bar. Charlie was wondering why his father was always at home and not working after watching TV. He eventually learns that his father has been fired from the toothpaste factory. The factory made the decision to increase production by utilizing robots and sophisticated machines. As a result, Charlie's father lost his job. Charlie is seen standing in front of the house a few days later at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. He discovered money on the snow-covered road on his way home. He dashed to the store and purchased a Wonka chocolate bar. He immediately opened the chocolate after paying for it at the register. To his surprise, he discovered a golden ticket in the chocolate package. When the shopkeepers saw this, they persuaded him to sell the golden ticket. Some even had the audacity to pay him $500 for Charlie to sell the golden ticket. The shopkeeper, on the other hand, told him to take the golden ticket and hurry home. So he dashed toward his house. When Charlie arrived at the house, he showed his family the golden ticket. He handed the ticket to his father, and they read the announcement written on the ticket, which stated that the ticket holder was invited to the Willy Wonka factory on February 1st at 10 a.m. Ticket holders are only permitted to bring one guest, and Grandpa Joe was overjoyed to be able to take Charlie to the chocolate factory. Charlie, on the other hand, decided not to go to the chocolate factory and sell the golden ticket because he knew his family needed more money. When Charlie's other grandfather hears this, he informs him that a lot of money is printed every day. However, there are only 5 golden tickets available in the entire world for viewing the Wonka chocolate factory. Charlie finally agreed to accompany Grandpa Joe to the chocolate factory. The day finally arrives. Hundreds of people, including the 5 ticket winners and their companions, were gathered in front of the factory. The factory officially opened at 10 a.m. The 5 winners, along with their guests, enter the factory. They were greeted by an emotional puppet show. The dolls were then set ablaze by fireworks. This show made the winners feel strange. Soon after, Willy Wonka appeared beside them and invited them to enter the factory. In the first section, they are led to a door that leads to a room with a beautiful garden, and everything in the garden is made of chocolate. Wonka then invites his guests to enjoy everything in the garden because everything is edible. Augustus, the greedy one, devoured everything and did not stop devouring the chocolates around him. Veruca then pointed to the dwarves who are working in the garden. There are a lot of them, and their faces are all the same. Charlie was intrigued and inquired of Wonka about the dwarves. Wonka then explained that they were the Oompa Loompa tribe, who had been brought directly from Loompa Land. He went to Loompa Land a few years back to look for new exotic flavor variants for his candy products. To avoid dangerous animals, the Oompa Loompa tribe lives in trees. The tribe eats only green silkworms. The Oompa Loompa people enjoy cocoa beans, but they can only find 3 or 4 per year. Because cocoa beans are the primary ingredient in chocolate, Wonka invites them to work in the factory in exchange for cocoa beans. They agreed, and the Oompa Loompa tribe went to work at Wonka's chocolate factory. At that very moment, Augustus's mother screamed as she realized her son had fallen into the chocolate river. It didn't take long for them to notice Augustus being sucked in by a chocolate suction tube. Then some Oompa Loompas appeared and sang. The song's lyrics tell the story of the greedy Augustus. Following the singing, Wonka requests that Oompa Loompa take Augustus's mother to meet her son. The factory tour was carried on. Guests were asked to board a boat decorated with bright colors and rowed by Oompa Loompas. Charlie asks Wonka if he remembers his childhood experiences as they board the boat. Charlie's questions immediately brought back memories of Wonka's childhood. The scene then shifts to Wonka's childhood, in a memory set on Halloween. He and his friends go around the neighborhood collecting candy from the neighbors. However, when Wonka returned home, his father, a well-known dentist in the city, threw away all of the candy. He obtained it and burned it in the fireplace. Wonka's father despises chocolate and candy. He chooses to prioritize Wonka's dental hygiene and health. He even fitted Wonka with old-fashioned braces. The scene then returns to the boat as the boat enters a tunnel. As they make their way through the tunnel, Wonka describes the various rooms in the factory. The boat then comes to a halt in front of the invention room. confectionery discoveries are being made, and chocolate variants are being tested. Wonka invites guests to look around, but forbids them from touching any objects in the room. They examine tried and true inventions such as candy canes that last all year and hair growth gums. They then examined chewing gum that made people feel full. This chewing gum contains 3 servings of food designed to eliminate the need for people to cook. Violet considered eating it. Wonka cautions her that the gum has not been thoroughly tested. Violet, the world's longest chewing gum record holder, feels challenged and disregards Wonka's warning. Then she chews the gum. Violet's entire body turns purple and swells up like a blueberry, which was unexpected. It was not long before the Oompa Loompa arrived to perform. Violet, a selfish girl who chews all day long, is mentioned in the song's lyrics. Violet, whose body was already round and bloated, was rolled into the juice room, followed by her mother. They then entered the nut sorting room to watch a trained squirrel sort and peel nuts. Veruca asks her father to bring the cute squirrels home after seeing them. Veruca's father asks Wonka and wants to buy one of those squirrels because of his daughter's whining. However, Wonka states that the squirrels are not for sale. Veruca goes down the stairs and walks over to the squirrels in the center of the room, disappointed that her wish had not been granted. Unexpectedly, all of the squirrels who had been busy working turn around and attack her by tapping her on the head. The squirrels drag Veruca into the garbage can, mistaking her head for a low-quality nut. Oompa Loompa then sing a song about Veruca, who's being spoiled and is about to be thrown away. Veruca's father follows her into the garbage canal. The tour of the factory resumes. Wonka invites the guests to enter the elevator, which can travel at high speeds in all directions. From inside the elevator, they could see the Chocolate Mountain, the Puppet Hospital, and the Administrative Center. At this point, Mike and Charlie have a disagreement about what they see in the elevator. Wonka suddenly remembers his father telling him that his son would not be the one to make chocolate after hearing Mike's words. Wonka runs away from home to the World Candy Center in Switzerland at the end of the flashback memory. When he returned from Switzerland, he was unable to see his father. Mike is curious about the television room and asks Wonka to press the elevator button that leads to it. They rush into the room. They were instructed to wear sunglasses because the light in the room could cause eye damage. An experiment was being carried out in that room to send chocolate to television channels. They can see a large bar of chocolate being picked up by several Oompa Loompas and carried through a large pipe attached to the roof of the room. The chocolate vanished and reappeared in a smaller size in another location, which they could see through the television screen. Wonka then instructed Charlie to take the chocolate by inserting his hand into the television. Mike ran toward the pipeline as soon as he saw what had happened, then jumped and pressed the button to change the channel on the television. Mike soon vanished, and Wonka dispatched an Oompa Loompa to find him by changing the television channel. Mike was then seen in television news broadcasts in a smaller size. Oompa Loompas then sang lyrics that forbid children from approaching the television because television can harm their senses. Then Mike's father reached into the television and took out Mike, who had shrunk to the size of a dwarf. They were escorted out of the room by Oompa Loompas. Finally, Wonka congratulates Charlie on his victory. They then re-enter the elevator, shoot up, and fly out of the factory. Charlie can see the guests who had entered the factory leaving one by one from the elevator hovering in the sky. Augustus, whose body was filled with a deep brown liquid, was the first to emerge with his mother, followed by Violet, whose body returned. It had returned to normal size, but it was still purple and supple as she walked with her mother. Behind her, he saw Veruca and her father, whose bodies were filled with garbage, and finally Mike, who had grown tall but was as thin as a piece of paper, walking out with his father. Wonka then flew Charlie home in his flying elevator. When Wonka arrives at Charlie's house, he declares that Charlie will be the heir to the Wonka's chocolate factory and invites Charlie to live in his chocolate factory. Charlie, on the other hand, refuses because he doesn't want to leave his family. Charlie places a high value on his family. This makes Wonka sad, so he takes the elevator back to the factory. Charlie's family life is improving day by day. His father found work as a technician repairing machines at the factory where he previously worked. Charlie also works as a shoe shine on the side. While cleaning the shoes of one of his customers, he discovers that the customer was Wonka. Wonka then asks Charlie what he would do if he was sad. Charlie responds that when he is sad, he would be with his family. Charlie then requests that Wonka meets with his father to learn more about what family means to him. Wonka is willing to see his father if Charlie remains with him. Soon after, they use the elevator to leave and arrive at Wonka's father's house. Wonka pretended to have his teeth checked there. While waiting in the waiting room, Charlie noticed that Wonka's father had gathered all the news about Wonka and displayed it in his living room, demonstrating how proud he is of his son. When Wonka's father examined his son's teeth in the dental examination room, he was surprised because he had never seen teeth this good and clean. He eventually realized the patient he was examining was his son. They exchanged an awkward hug. Wonka finally becomes close to Charlie's family by the end of the story, and they eat dinner together. Charlie and Wonka appear pleased because Charlie has inherited the rights to Wonka's chocolate factory, and Wonka is pleased because he has finally found a family. Have you ever watched this movie? If so, what did you learn from the story? Leave a comment down below. Also, check out the links in this description to see where you can watch this film. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos. Thanks for watching Red Recaps. See you in the next video.